Actually, I'm shooting video for a second.
Oh, you are?
Okay.
Yeah. So give me your first names. Give me your first names.
I'm Vicki.
And
Harold.
Vicky and Harold. And you all come out to visit us today, right?
We did.
Yeah.
We hunted you down.
You hunted us down.
Look for the red trailer, Vicky.
Yeah.
Hard to find.
Well, we're just tickled that you all got to come and see us. We really appreciate you dropping by, don't we, dear?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a great fun day.
Well, fantastic, and it's been a beautiful day to come out and visit too. So anyway, Harold, you are building your own van conversion, correct?
That's right.
I guess it's the best way to call it a van conversion. You're building one of those Nissan Hightopper
That's right.
vehicles, yeah.
3500.
Yeah, and Harold was showing me some photos of that, and hopefully, if we have some decent weather here before long, we're going to get together with Harold and we're going to do a walkthrough on the YouTube channel.
Yep.
How about that?
Gonna work.
Does that sound good to you? All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out to see us today. We really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure.
We'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. So that's how it was Sunday afternoon.
Yes, it was beautiful Sunday afternoon.
Absolutely a beautiful afternoon. Temperature was in the mid-60s. Slight breeze.
Great day to be outside.
Oh, yeah, beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful. And we did get some work done that day as well, which was good,
Yes.
as you're fixing to see.
We had a lot of work to do that day.
Yeah, a lot of stuff to do that day, and we got it done. This was Monday morning. Temperature is currently 32 degrees with a fairly stiff breeze out of the northwest, I would say. We're expecting temperatures to drop considerably by the afternoon, and temperatures will get down to 14 or below this evening. What a difference a day makes. Okay. After that, the weather continued to deteriorate even more.
Went downhill quick.
Went downhill quick. The temperature continued to drop and drop and drop. Started sleeting around 11 o'clock, and they didn't even, AccuWeather didn't even predict the sleeting till mid-afternoon,
I
but
don't think it even
started early.
predicted sleet. It said
Well,
snow.
when I looked on mine, it said that we'd have sleet beginning, early mid-afternoon, somewhere in there. But that blew that all to pieces anyway. So
Absolutely.
there we go.
Yes.
And then, overnight, it really got cold. After the clouds blew away, the storm system blew away, the skies cleared off, the temperature continued to drop and drop and drop. And then as of this morning, and today's Tuesday, the temperature, and I'm referring to my notes here, and we're also going to flash up what AccuWeather said it was at that time of the morning, but around 7:36 a.m. to 7:37 a.m., the temperature was 12 degrees with a wind chill of 0 to -1.
And what were we in here?
And we were 72 degrees in here, and the humidity in here at that time was right at 44%, whereas the humidity outside was somewhere in the 60% range. I think it was in the upper 60% range at that time.
Yes.
Anyway, did our water still work this morning?
Yes, it did. We
Yeah.
had running water in
We
the
had
house.
running water. It was awesome. And did we get cold overnight?
No, actually, I kept kicking the blankets off.
Yeah. But now we're going to go into, and I made some notes so we can get through this fairly quick because we got a lot of ground to cover. But we did make some preparations on Sunday, and we're going to cover all that. And we did have one minor little issue this morning that we discovered a little later, and we're going to talk about that and what our steps will be to remedy that in the future. First, let's talk about, because we knew we had this coming, let's talk about the sewer drains. And if you'll recall, and I have to refer to my notes, we have two sewer dumps on this trailer. We have one at the front, which is in the bathroom area, and then we have one at the back, which covers the kitchen area. And they are regular RV-style 3-inch sewer dumps, just like any RV would have. So what we're doing here, of course, since we have full hookups at this spot that we're at right now, we ran a 3-inch regular RV sewer hose from the front one, and then a shorter 3-inch RV sewer hose from the back one, and went into a Y connector. And of course, we go into the drain after that, the sewer drain that's in the mounted in the pad that we're sitting on. And what we did to make sure that we wouldn't have any issues with the sewer drain freezing anymore is we made absolutely certain that we had a good slope on both of them where, you know, there's no spot where it goes up a little bit and then comes back down. We made certain that we had a good gradual slope all the way so water wouldn't lay in those areas. So that's what we did there, and that part worked well. And
Yeah, my sink drain's wonderful.
right, the sink drain's wonderful. Now, if you recall also what we use for P-traps, we didn't use a standard P-trap. We used what they call a HEPVO, H-E-P-V-O. You can Google it. And I love my HEPVO P-traps, or the HEPVO P-trap alternative is what I like to call them. And the main reason why I went with the HEPVO P-traps is that the website said that you could mount them exposed to the weather, because the way they work, there would be no standing liquid in them, so therefore there's nothing to freeze. And of course, the way it's set up, if you mount it horizontally, there's a little bit of a slope in the HEPVO apparatus itself, which is supposedly supposed to keep it, keep it clear so that it wouldn't freeze. We did have a minor issue with that though this morning. Yeah.
On the horizontal one.
On the one that's horizontal. The other one sits underneath the cabinet sink and it's mounted inside. Now the reason why I use the HEPVO mounted outside, and that's where the shower is because I didn't have enough clearance to have a regular P-trap inside, which meant I would have had to elevate the shower pan. And then me being a tall dude, that would have made it more difficult to me to have clearance. So I wanted the pan to be able to set all the way to the floor. And when the website said that I wouldn't have an issue with that, I stopped worrying about it. And here again, one more thing. We didn't plan on being in cold weather climates like this at first.
No.
This is all something
that wasn't
changed.
the original plan.
Yeah. But I did do, before I actually hooked this thing up into the trailer, I did take my shower pan and set it up on a board, and I knocked a hole in the middle of the board, set the shower pan up there, mounted the HEPVO to it, and I poured water through the shower drain to watch it come through the HEPVO. And when I looked up in it, I did see a little bit of water still laying in there that did not drain completely out, even though the slope was there and everything. There was something about that membrane in there held some water in. But here again, it did not concern me because I was not planning on being in climates like this.
No.
So, but here we are. And I'm not upset with HEPVO. I still love my HEPVO P-traps. If I build another one, we'll probably use them again. It's just next time we will take the necessary precautions. And we've already got in mind what we need to do there. I happen to find some electric heat tape that is short enough that will work on that HEPVO. And that should solve the issue, and we're going to order that from Amazon, and we'll get that installed, and then
For
of
the
course
next
wrap
storm.
it. Yeah, for the next one, so that we won't have that issue again. But we know that that's where it was because all I had to do was crawl up underneath the trailer this morning with a hairdryer. Oh, it took about 10 minutes or so.
Probably.
Shooting the hairdryer directly on it, and it opened right up and flowed perfect. So anyway, that problem is now remedied, so we don't have to worry about that no more, and we know what we're going to do. Okay, now let's talk about our water line coming from the outside faucet into the trailer. And of course, the first thing we did, and we did this even way back in March because we knew it was going to get cold, we went out and bought a electric heated RV water hose.
And at that time, I don't even think we knew there was such a thing.
We didn't even know there was such a thing, and we bought it at Camp World. We called to see if they had something like that, and they said, yeah, and I think it was around $100 or a little bit less right
I
in
don't
there.
remember. I just know you went and got it.
Yeah, I went and got it, and that part worked great. But what didn't work great, back in March, on that night that we got so cold, what didn't work great was we didn't make any preparations for the hydrant that came out of the ground with the standpipe that stood up, yay high. And of course, it froze. All of our plumbing is inside the trailer. Everything runs inside. But the vulnerable spots is where the water inlet is on the outside of the trailer, which is a standard style, RV style water inlet. Now behind that, there is no insulation because you actually cut the hole in the wall, and it sticks through, and it's just a piece of
It's got
plastic.
a little plastic door.
Right, and it's just got a little plastic door. And plus, when we had the hose mounted, I still had a quick disconnect mounted to the water inlet on the trailer. And but when I had that on there, I couldn't shut the little plastic door. So then what we did, I removed that quick disconnect, because since we're stationary till March 31st here, we don't need to worry about hooking it and unhooking it and hooking it and unhooking it. So I went ahead and Removed that, then mounted the hose directly to the water inlet. That allowed me to shut the little plastic door. But so then we did some other things to take care of that. But let's go back to the hydrant and what we ended up doing there. I got 6 foot length of heat tape and ran it up the hydrant and back down and secured it to the pipe. Then we took regular foam style pipe insulation and wrapped it with that. And then we came back over that with the fiberglass wrap insulation. And when I put the heat tape on there, I made sure that I wrapped it all the way up over the end of the faucet as well. So the whole thing is covered with the heat tape. And then, of course, we went with the foam pipe insulation. Then we wrapped the whole thing in the fiberglass wrap insulation, which is 3-inch wide strips, I believe. And then, to protect it from the elements, we went ahead and put a plastic trash bag over that, and then zip tied it to protect it from the elements. There's other folks that take that one step further and go ahead and put a trash can over that, which I intend to do. But I've got to find a trash can that's deep enough to cover it, because when the water hydrant is open and the handle is fully extended up, it's almost 3 foot. And so I got to find me a trash can, that have that much distance inside. Or if the weather looks like it's going to continue to do this more frequently than seasons past, I will, build a box out of 1-inch foam board or something like that and put over. So
This was it, though.
Huh?
This is it. Spring's coming.
Right, spring will be back. We hope. This has been the weirdest year ever. So anyway, now on to the next thing, of course. We talked about insulating the standpipe. And of course, now we know that we've got the electric heated hose that goes up to the water inlet. Now what we did at the water inlet, like I said, we went ahead and took the quick disconnect off so we could get it closer so that it would allow us to shut the door. And before we did that, though, then we took leftovers, that 3-inch insulation that we had left over, some of it, because we used it in another spot too. We took some of that insulation and stuffed that thing full on the inside. Just stuffed and stuffed and stuffed it. And then we shut the door, and so now at least we have insulation in there. And anyway, and shut the door. And then we also, to cap it off, because we still had a little bit of the connection on the end of the water hose sticking out, I went ahead and took a short piece of that foam pipe insulation and zip tied it to that to give it a little bit more protection. And while I was out thawing out the Hepvo P-trap this morning, I walked over there and felt that, and you could feel it warm around that. So that electric hose works very, very well, and the heat obviously that was generated off of how it's wound there was still radiating up into that metal part where the connection is, and you could actually feel it warm.
That hose works so well.
Yes.
That when I turn the cold water on at the sink, the water isn't cold like you would think. Like after it runs through the hose and then it starts running out of the ground, it's cold. But at first, it's and so that's just the hose heating it up.
Yeah, that's
it's
just
awesome.
the hose heating it up. It's cool. It's really, really cool. We are very, very pleased with that investment. Now, those are still available. We were in what used to be Camp World. It's now Gander RV, at least here in Northwest Arkansas. And when we first walked in, I went in there to get the Y connector. And anyway, as we walked in, they had a big stack of them. Of course, they're going to have a big stack of those things right at the entrance when you walked in. And I think they were still around $100 somewhere in there. I can't remember for sure. Okay, let's talk about the outside shower. The outside shower, which of course we don't use it at all this time of the year anyway, but still, it is a vulnerable opening.
With just a little plastic shield.
Which is a little plastic shield where cold air can come into the trailer. And now what we're mostly concerned about, of course, is because all of my main plumbing, my water inlet, all of the plumbing for the sink and everything, all of the branches that go here and there is all underneath the sink, where it goes to the pump. Yeah, the kitchen sink. Yes, I need to clarify that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we got to make sure that it stays as warm as possible underneath there. And so we did the same thing that we did on the water inlet. We also stuffed it full of insulation, as full as we could possibly get it. We took the end of we had changed out the regular shower wand for a regular garden hose attachment on the end. We went ahead and removed that, took it off, made sure the faucets were off completely. And then we stuffed that all full of insulation and then closed the door behind that. So that's what we did there. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is how did we make more preparations on the inside? Well, all the plumbing runs down what we would call here in America the driver's side of the trailer, okay? And of course it's all indoors, everything is inside, all of the hot and cold water and everything is all running inside. What we also needed to do though, to make sure that we wouldn't have any issues, we also needed to improve airflow through the kitchen cabinet where the sink is, and also improve airflow as it goes on down behind the bed and behind the shower and in that area, you know, to allow more air to flow freely down there. And so what we ended up doing, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world.
Oh, I don't think they look too bad.
They don't look too bad, but we ended up going to Home Depot. We bought these vents to mount in the cabinet doors. So we took the cabinet doors off.
They're actually return air vents.
They actually are
Small
return
ones.
air vents, small return air vents. And, you know, I wish we could have come up with something different. And, of course, my best friend says, well, just open the cabinet doors. That's all you got to do during those times.
Which is exactly what you would do.
In a house.
In a house.
Yeah.
You would just open those cabinet doors so the heat could get in there.
But
we have...
Yeah, I'll pick her up and get her over there.
We have this
thing. And we love her. But you know what? When you open the cabinet doors, guess what she does?
She wants to get in there.
Yeah.
And then there's
you're
an
so
access
pretty.
hole between the
You're so
kitchen
pretty.
cabinet and under the bed.
Yeah.
And then behind that, she can
I
get
know.
behind the
I know,
shower. And she doesn't need to be in all that.
No, she gets in there, and then it takes us forever to get her out. So we decided to put those there. And then one more thing we did, to make that help with airflow. And we did some vents on the other end, not as big and as obtrusive, but we also put some vents on the other end of the trailer just so it would help airflow back and forth there. And then the next thing we did to help with that, and it was only $16 at Home Depot, and we just happened to go down that aisle and see it, and we thought, well, we'll give it a shot. We went ahead and bought a little 1,500 watt electric heater, and it works fantastic. And we set it pretty much right in front of the cabinet doors at night, and it's just nice to have backup. You know, remember, folks, we are Total Electric in this trailer, and we wired it for 50 amp service right out of the chute, which gives you two hot wires instead of one, so you've got a lot more power available to you. And we make sure that when we're plugging in items that pull a lot of power, that we make sure that one item is on one hot boss on the panel, and the other item is coming from the other hot boss on the panel, so that we're not still pulling them from the same side.
Boss?
Hot boss. The mechanical dudes out there know what I'm talking about. Bus.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bus. Forgive me. I'm sorry. I should have let you explain that instead of me. Yeah, hot boss. Well,
I am not. That's not
that's why I said it like that, because I keep thinking of you being the hot boss, right?
Carry on.
I don't know if that trying to get out of that worked well or not.
Probably
You can
not.
let me know, folks.
I'll
if
let you
you
know.
think-
I'll
or
let you
you'll-
know.
Yeah.
Because I'm the
She
boss.
will let me know. I guarantee you that. So anyway, you know, we have plenty of power to run things like that, and of course you've got to make sure that when you're doing that and you've got two items that are pulling, you know, a decent amount of power, you got to make sure it's balanced where you're drawing the power from your panel. And in our case, because we have two hot legs coming in, we have two separate hot buses, so we make sure that when we are plugging in, when we're having two items pulling power, that one item is pulling the power from one hot bus, and the other one is pulling the power from the other bus. Okay, so there you go.
So
Can I say it any
glad
different
you
than-
understand.
well, thank you for explaining it to me, dear.
You're welcome.
Anyway, that's vents in the cabinet doors. I think we covered about everything. We are going to, of course, address the HEP vote.
We left the curtains closed because we have single pane windows.
Correct.
And I mean, if you had a single pane window in a house, you'd have the same problem. You got a lot of air exchange there.
Yeah.
And so the curtains closed helped contain the heat. But we were quite cozy.
Yeah.
Very cozy.
You know, I had somebody asked us, you know, do we have trouble with condensation in the trailer? The only places we have condensation in the trailer is at the windows. We don't have condensation that develops anywhere else in the trailer. One reason why is because of the way we insulated it. Another reason why, of course, is because we use electric heat instead of propane
Right.
heat. And we decided to go that way from the get-go when we were designing the trailer, because in our particular situation, we knew that we were going to be plugged in 99.99% of the time wherever we went. Well, I started editing the video. Deb started working on one of her paintings. Show them your painting right quick, dear, the one you've been working on, so they can see it. Yeah, that's a painting she's kind of working on now. What's it going to end up being? What are you going to add to that?
Maybe not a lot.
Maybe not a lot? Okay. Well, I think it's looking pretty cool. Anyway, how many paintings will that make that you have on hand now?
6.
6? All right. And we're going to figure out something to do with those paintings somehow, get them into folks that would like to have them, get them over to folks that would like to have them. But anyway, so that's what happened. I was editing the video, Deb was working on her painting, and then towards the end of my editing process, somehow I lost a little bit of the last part of the video that I was working on. But it was okay. We covered everything we needed to cover, right?
It's just the technology
Just
thing.
the technical stuff, and it's all done. But anyway, don't know what happened, but these things have happened before. These things have happened to big dog YouTubers, you know, because
Right.
they openly admit it. So I guess if they can openly admit that they lost some footage sometimes, I can openly admit it too.
That is correct.
Yeah, so anyway. But you know what?
We're
I
not
learned-
camping.
No, I was going to say, and that's true. But what I was really going to say was, I've learned my lesson, and I'll make sure that never happens again. Yeah. Instead of moving a video from this spot to this spot, I'm going to copy the video from this spot to that spot. And just in case, for some reason, the rest of it didn't get over there, I've still got the original that I can go back and pull from.
There you go.
Then this won't ever happen again. But anyway, we covered everything we wanted to cover. We hope you all found this to be helpful. And Deb's going to go back to working on her painting, and I'm going to go back to editing some more video, and we have one more thing to say. And what is that, dear?
We're not camping.
We're living.
We're living.
This is Bill and Deb with High Ride Tiny House Adventures. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.